Well, hello, everyone. It must be Tuesday night because it's time for Confidence Strategies 101, and I'm Carmen Milagro. I'm your host. I'm a CBD educator. I'm a confidence strategist, an entrepreneurist, and I wear lots of hats. Sorry, I'm so excited about our show today because we just had this whole marketing brainstorming session, just an impromptu working session. And I just love those kinds of sessions with my guests and my friends. So we've got lots to share with you today. If this is the first time that you're tuning in, just to give you a little bit of, an idea of what I'm trying to do here on Tuesday nights, it's really about sharing this experience with you of these webisodes. They're designed to inspire you, hopefully help you get out of your shell a little bit. We're sharing different perspectives and different viewpoints and different conversations and personal stories. And that's really where my heart really resides, is I believe that with each story that we hear, it becomes a part of our tapestry. We learn something about someone else, and maybe it can jumpstart a new path or a new direction or a new idea for us. And we can't do that if we don't communicate, if we don't share those stories. So that's what I like to do every week. I really treasure these webisodes because I get the honor and the pleasure of introducing you to incredible human beings who are living their best life, who are kind and generous because they're spending their time with us. So that's pretty much, in a nutshell, what these shows are about. I just want to remind you that the best place to check out all the previous webisodes is on our Facebook page, Confidence Strategies 101 with Carmen Milagro. So you're welcome to join us there. And or you can check out my Carmen Milagro YouTube channel. Every webisode thus far has been sponsored by an incredible organization called Music City Hit Factory. So thank you to them for continuing to sponsor us. We're in the studio here under construction, and I can't wait to tell you all about what this is going to be. We're just about ready to launch all that information, and I will definitely be talking to you about this. But without further ado, I think I need to introduce our guest for tonight. She's a super special guest. All of my guests are special, but every once in a while there's someone who just brings such joy and light into the room and onto the screen, and she's one of them. She's an artist, she's a painter, and she's willing to share her story with us today. She's got some insights as to how she's living her best life now, and hopefully you will find the inspiration in her story as we spend a little time getting to know her. Why is Maria Poroy here with us today? Well, let me tell you, Maria did not have a fairy tale childhood. She lost her best adult ally at the age of 7, but she became an excellent student. She became an excellent student, though, out of fear. And even though she was battling deep insecurities, she was the first person in her family to get her MBA. But it wasn't until she turned 50 years old that she embarked on her childhood fantasy career, which was no longer a fantasy, it's reality for her. She became the artist that she is today, and she created her own life, the one that she wants to live on her terms. So without further ado, I'm going to bring her on, and we are going to say hello to Maria.
Maria, hi. Thank you, Carmen. You made me sound so exciting.
You are excited.
Myself to meet this person, and I realized, oh my gosh, it's me.
Well, no pressure, because a lot of times, as you and I both know, our art speaks for us. But today we will get to that. But today, I can't wait to really dive into your story. I was so fascinated with the article that I read, which was in the press in Monterey, and I'm assuming that you're here with us tonight in your studio in Monterey. Is that correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
with
we
the studio cat who's just there. Well, maybe I should show you the other end of the studio
right.
cat. There
Oh,
she
look at
is. Say
oh
hello, Ziva Rose. It's too late for her. She's off duty.
yeah. Well, thank you for that guest appearance,
Guest appearance, yes.
the cameo appearance by the.
Hmm.
Um, I hope you don't mind, Maria. I'm going to just like dive into some of the aspects of your bio that I really was fascinated by. And, you know, I always want all of my guests to know that if there is something that is not making you feel comfortable, we just move on. So no pressure, just sit back and relax. I noticed you have a really pretty cup there.
Oh,
So
a
is
little shameless
that,
product positioning. This
I
is one of my hearts.
oh, I can't wait to talk about all this.
We don't have enough walls, so we have to put things on our cups and our t-shirts and you name it.
Right, right.
Yes.
Well, marketing 101 kind
Yeah,
of goes side by side with confidence
exactly.
101.
Well, you know, when you first talked to me about doing this, I thought this would be a great thing to do because so many of your people had wonderful stories about fabulous people in their life that have been mentors and supporters and all that. And I thought maybe it's kind of a good story to share with people too, that sometimes you can start from a place in life where you're sure that the only place you can go from there is the gutter, and
Right,
you can make a different kind of life out of it. So
right,
it's not always easy. But you know, some of the fabulous people in life were my role models didn't have it easy either. So
right. Exactly. And thank you so much for sharing this aspect of it because it is important to talk about it.
mhm,
And I think ultimately the idea here is that we do get to share different stories and
mhm,
different outcomes, but
mhm,
the outcome is, and of course, what I strive to share with people is that we have a choice in what our lives look like.
mhm.
So let's start a little bit at the beginning, and then
Okay.
we'll kind of fast forward, and then because I definitely want to spend time on talking to you about literally about your artwork.
Okay, great.
So, you mentioned, or I read that at the age of 7, you lost your adult ally. Can you tell us a little bit? Who was that for you?
That
Who?
was my grandmother, and she was fabulous. And in my memory, at least, she wore two-tone shoes, you know, spectator pumps, which to me
Yes,
that was the height of
of
chic.
course. Yeah.
Um, and she really made a fuss over me. She made me feel special, and she was someone that was a great ally. And when she died, she was 52, and I thought she was old. I mean, I thought she was really ancient. But the
Right.
truth is, 52, you're just warming up at 52. But
Right.
she was a Southern lady, and she had high blood pressure. And if you know Southern cuisine, it is not conducive to dealing with that. We're talking about a woman who salted watermelon, who
Right.
salted bread.
Mhm.
And they didn't have medications as good then as they do now. She probably, who knows, she might even be here today if it were, you know, if things were different. But yeah, it was a big loss.
I can't. I mean, you were 7, and
Mhm.
was there?
Well, she lived with us, my father and my mother, and at that point there were just us.
Okay.
Um, my mother was ill, seriously mentally ill. My father, well, let's just say if you had to apply for a parenting license, he wouldn't have gotten it. So she was my really special person. And her loss, because she was clearly my mother's special person too, um, led to my mother going to more of a downward spiral. But she also, when she lost her mother, she converted to Catholicism and popped out 4 more kids because that's what made her feel good, what made her feel special. So it ended up, you know, that was a bit of a solution for a while. She
Mm.
died when I was 12.
Oh,
Um, and so that period between when I was 7 and I was 12, I was changing diapers and I was working.
sure.
I don't remember being a child. And when I recently, for a project, I was looking for old photos to think about maybe doing some figurative work, I found I could not find a single picture of me as a child where I was smiling.
Oh,
And I think that's telling. Children
sure.
tend to smile.
Right.
And we give them lots of things to smile about. But I thought, yeah, well, there it is.
Right.
But
You were, it seems like you were almost like this, like the archaeologist of your childhood in that moment. That's how I envision that.
it was a pretty Dickensian childhood. When you talk about growing up poor, you can be poor in a pretty homey kind of way, like Dolly Parton's Coat of Many Colors.
Right.
That's heartwarming. That's heartwarming kind of poverty. And then there's the kind of poverty that has people scrabbling. And basically, I was raised by wolves, and that was the effect of it. So it wasn't a pretty picture.
Right.
And I retreated into a world that I created for myself by books. I love to read.
We have that in common.
And I read everything. And I think some of my best, in spite of having now, an MBA, I think some of my best education came from novels.
Right.
Because it went down easy while I was being entertained.
Sure.
And it made me kind of a weird kid, though, too. And I can tell you one situation that proves it. Well, I was reading things like Jane Eyre and Jane Austen, and I didn't really know, because I didn't interact with that many other people, that world wasn't accurate. So in the second grade, I had a crush on a little boy, and I went to school with a handkerchief, and I walked by his desk dropping the handkerchief, because you drop a handkerchief to get a guy's attention, and then he picks up the handkerchief and you're like, there you are. Right. After I sallied by his desk 3 or 4 times, dropping the handkerchief and then retrieving it and dropping it again, the Holy Sister got on my case, and that was an end to that. But when I say I was a weird kid, I was. As I got a little bit older, I had a little better judgment about reality, and so I haven't dropped a hanky since.
Right. Oh, was there anyone that sort of replaced that your grandmother's, position for you at some time?
Not really, no. No. And when my mother died, my father was in the Army, and we were shipped overseas. And so any kind of connection I might have had to family, that was it. There wasn't anymore. So it was very, it was a dark time, it really was. But there were books, and there was that kind of escapism, and that was a real world for me. So
Sure.
that was kind of okay.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned also, or I read also, that you became you became an excellent student, but you said that was out of fear. What do you mean by that statement?
Okay. The only thing that was good about me in my father's eyes was my intelligence. Everything else, my appearance, my weight, other things were fodder for insults and, the kind of thing that demoralizes a kid. But he recognized that I was smart. So since I got credit for that, then I was just going to be smart all the time. And the only problem was, when I say it was fear motivated, it was losing, the one thing that I was good at, if I wasn't good at that. And the other thing was, anything below an A could get me beaten, and an A minus, So
Maria,
you get a lot of A's under those circumstances, and you learn a lot of discipline, and you learn how to be a student and to do that kind of thing.
Sure.
But you don't learn it because of an intrinsic love of learning.
Mm-hmm. It's a survival mechanism. Right.
So that's what that was. It served me well, but it didn't come from a good place.
Right. That was my other part of that question, was what was the upside? And I do see this upside where you did excel,
Yes.
but I'm what I'm hearing, which makes me sad for little you, for young you, that you were doing this not so much, like you said, from it's coming from within and it's what you're striving for, but more like it's a survival.
Yeah, there are not a lot of kids who would bring home a report card that was A's, A pluses, and 1 A- and be afraid.
Right. I
So,
can't think of one.
but when I got all A's and A pluses, I did get my first transistor radio. So that was an upside.
There you go. And we do. I mean, I know that, life, we all have our stories, but I think there is something very important about, even in reflection, to try to see the upside, no matter if it's the tiniest thing or a big thing, because I believe, we intrinsically have the ability to reframe our stories whenever we need to, whenever we choose to. And for me, it boils down to, it is a choice. I didn't have a perfect childhood either. I could dwell on all the hardships, or I can focus on the upside.
And I get to be the hero.
Exactly. Because we're reframing it. We're rewriting.
Exactly.
And I don't think that's a bad thing,
Once I was a little bit older, in high school, for example, there was an art teacher who was wonderful. She kind of took me under her wing, and she really encouraged my artistic efforts. Right. And she even submitted my work to some contests, and I won an award for the state of Arizona my senior year, and I didn't even know I'd been submitted. So that was kind of exciting. And that kind of played into the whole, I want to grow up and be an artist thing.
Right.
But she was really wonderful and really supportive.
That's incredible.
There's good people.
Yes. I was going to say, I think sometimes we expect and we hope, and our desire is that it's someone who loves us and is related to us. But lots of times, for many of us, we have had outside people, a teacher or a mentor or someone that at least shows you a ray of understanding and compassion and all those things that young people need. And
then they're heroes and role models too.
Exactly.
You might not know them.
Exactly.
But
absolutely.
You say, well, look at this person and look at that person, and particularly if they came from a place that wasn't easy.
Right.
Exactly. It is possible to live a different kind of life.
Absolutely.
And my world or my imagination was full of lots of heroes.
Yes.
So, and oddly enough, they're still heroes today.
Right. I have to say, Maria, I'm going to digress just a little bit, but speaking about heroes, there's so much that, as I'm talking to you, I realize that we have so much in common. And I didn't really quite understand what it was that, when I met you, was through another mutual friend of ours who is no longer here. I loved him I love him so much. Kind of think of him as a hero in a way. And it all makes sense now. He has introduced me, Irv introduced me to several other women who are just as lovely and dynamic and full of life and creative like you. And it's taking this interview for me to say that out loud to you, because I knew it and I felt it, but I didn't know why.
I thought it was because we both like boots.
That could be it too.
There is that.
There's definitely that.
Yeah, I know the first time we met, we were in conversation and we spent a certain amount of time talking about boots. So
yes,
boots are a good subject too.
There's that.
It's all art.
Exactly. I'd like to fast forward now. You're an adult. You got your MBA. What would you say was the defining moment when you said enough, like life is too short? Or I don't know if I'm out of order and sequence, but there was a moment that you had talked about briefly in the article that I read, that there was this moment where you said enough is enough. Life is too short to be what I always wanted to be. I'm an artist. Like, where did that that turnabout happened? Was it confidence driven or was it something else? That
Well,
particular
my
moment.
confidence had recovered quite a lot in the ensuing 40 some years. Yeah. I ended up with a business degree and an MBA. And that's honestly, I tell people, if I were brave like my niece, who is a wonderful artist, her name's Chloe Allred, if you want to look for her, she went to art school. She got an MFA. She teaches art and she's fabulous. Her work is very political. Mine is kind of more decorative, but that was brave, because coming from poverty and putting my way through college on minimum wage, I was afraid to do an art degree. I had to do something that was going to make sure that I was absolutely positively never going to be that poor again. And that led me to a career in the Fortune 500. There was a point at which I decided enough of that. I was lusting after a corner office, and I figured out all I needed was to go rent a corner office, and I have a corner office. That was a breakthrough. So life is full of breakthroughs.
I like that.
Yeah. And I ran my own business for a while, and that was really good. It was very satisfying in lots of ways. But always I wanted to get back to art, and I was reading all the time about techniques, and I would meet with a girlfriend who was a painter, and I'd show her these little tiny things I was working on, and she's saying, "It's only paper, do something bigger." She's a very dear friend and a wonderful artist, and she really pushed me to explore a lot of things.
Right.
But the real breaking point was on a trip in Arizona, where my husband and I were in a car accident. We were both air ambulanced away from. And I've got scars to show for it. There's a plate in this hand. There's a plate on the clavicle. There's stuff that got reconstructed. And there was for a while, there was like, I always knew I was going to be an artist someday.
Right.
And when I had that accident, I realized we might not get a someday. And that made a big difference to me. And that led to a series of cascading events that I sold my business in San Francisco. And instead of spending weekends in Monterey, I settled in Monterey, downsized a lot of the expensive aspects of my life, went from a Lexus to a Nissan, but did things that bought me something more important, which was time to, if you go to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, self-actualize. And I needed the art to do that. And kind of reclaim where I think maybe I wanted to be when I was 7.
Right.
And reclaimed it now.
After turning 50. It was after 50.
Well, there's something to do with being 50 and my grandmother dying at 52. You think you don't always get time. You just don't, you're not guaranteed it. And that auto accident was terrifying, and it was, supported the medical community more than I wanted to at the time. But it was scary, and I thought, I remember this truck bearing down on us, and the crash happened, and it literally went to my mind, is this how it ends? I didn't have my life flash before my eyes, but that phrase did.
Right.
And I just wasn't ready for that to be all it is. And, I started painting more. We've got wonderful living artists in California. It's so lucky. You don't even have to travel far. You can take classes from wonderful people. I joined a local artist association. The first time I stood up in a meeting and I didn't say, I'm Maria Poroy and I'm a broker and I also paint. But I stood up and said, I'm Maria Poroy and I'm an artist. It felt like a B-movie scene from Alcoholics Anonymous. But it was the first and only time I'd ever said that. It was like,
wow,
I'm an artist.
How powerful was that?
I'm an artist who sometimes is a broker. But I'm an artist. And that was real important. And that organization has been good for a lot of people, very helpful to a lot of people. I do demos for them. I call it my missionary work.
Uh-huh.
because so many people were at the stage where I wanted to be. They're interested in art. They're dabbling really tiny things.
Right.
And I want to tell them the story that it's okay to do something that's not perfect. And in fact, it might be better than doing something that's perfect, because cameras can do that.
Right.
But when you bring your self and your experience to something, you create something new, and it's more intense and it's more exciting. And so I try to kind of put the joy back in that experience for people when I do a demo.
Right.
And, and I like doing demos for that very reason. I get to go there and preach. I get to preach the gospel of creativity and turning yourself around and doing something different when you're 50 while you can.
Right.
And now I'm ancient, older than dirt. I'm 68.
You are not.
I am. Yeah. I am no longer prematurely gray. I'm now absolutely earned gray.
I love it. I say
But
that.
if I didn't look in the mirror, I wouldn't always realize how old I am. But I make art every day in some way or another. When you get involved in making art, you never get bored again, because there's always something interesting around you. So, that would make a great painting, or look at those colors. It's just,
right.
You're more alive somehow.
Right. Well, and I just love this, because one of the questions that I had for you is, I can't paint, but
Bet you could.
well, I can't draw a stick figure. I'm.
Oh, that's the other thing people say. They also say, I can't even draw a straight line.
Right. Exactly.
I'm surprised at how rarely you need to.
Yeah. But we all have our talents.
Yeah.
So
I can't sing. Oh my God, people pay me to not sing.
But when the artist resides in you, I just feel like for me, I can't speak for anyone else, clearly, but I am so drawn to, and like I gravitate to color and texture and everybody else's art.
Yes.
And so to me, that's how I
cross-pollinate.
Yes, absolutely.
When I want to get out of my head and really paint well, I crank up music loud.
Right?
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And one of the questions that I had, which you really already kind of answered, is like, I can walk around San Francisco and, you see all those sculptures, and you see new ones that weren't there before. And my eye just knows what is supposed to be there. And if something new, like the newest thing that I've noticed around my walks in San Francisco, we had all those heart sculptures.
Oh yeah, those were great.
Aren't they wonderful? And
yeah.
This is leading somewhere. But now I've noticed, like, there's these seals in the same sort of vein. They're colorful seal sculptures.
Yeah, Vancouver did whales, I think, and some other town did cows.
Yes, and Seattle did something else. I can't remember now. It escapes me. But where, I know that you're inspired by life and your surroundings, but where does some of your more like pinpointed, inspirations, where do they come from?
Well, sometimes I dream about color, and I don't mean I dream in color, but I dream about color combinations.
Right.
And I'm known as a colorist because for me, color is the shortcut to emotion. I mean, more than anything else, except maybe music, but I don't make music.
Yeah, right.
But I'll dream about color, and then I'll wake up and need to do something with that. But poetry, if I read poetry, that can also inspire something. Talking to other people can. I've done a series of paintings of hearts that came from my own favorite colors and things I dreamed about. And then I recently got this brilliant idea. I think it's a brilliant idea. I don't paint portraits, but I thought, I talk to fascinating people all the time. And almost everyone, if you talk to them long enough, becomes fascinating. It's remarkable.
Right. Yeah.
But you find out something about that person and their orientation and their colors and the symbols and things in their life that are important and meaningful to them. And it's been a fun challenge for me to create art that is kind of a portrait of someone's essence, their soul, if you will. And I think I'm on to something interesting here.
Do you have something to show
I
us?
happen to. I
You know,
asked
I
you.
have to ask because I just like.
I told you I had this idea, and I said, listen, it might be a crazy idea, and I don't know where it's going to go, and it may not capture you at all, but the worst comes to worst, it'll be pretty. So
Yeah.
pretty good, because I'm all about decorative. But I made a Milagro heart, and I hope.
Oh my God.
And what makes it a Milagro heart? Yeah. Your spirit animal, the hummingbirds are here. The colors just sort of came to me while we were talking. And this pink area, I told you before, I might make you cry again. This came from your mother. She told me you needed some pink there. And it's got a little bit of a drippy texture here, which feels like emotion. And because sometimes your emotions are very close to the surface, you know.
Oh yes.
When I met you, you're a little tiny, energetic person. She really is kind of a hummingbird. And so perfect. So I worked on that, and then I hit a little symbol over here and there, which you can tell or not tell, depending.
Oh my gosh, but is that where you put my tattoo emblem?
Right here. It's buried in there. It's mixed with a lot of other lines and things that if you didn't know the key, it's like the Da Vinci Code. If you didn't know the key to that painting, you wouldn't notice that this was there.
Oh my gosh, Maria.
I had so much fun with this, and I was just like really focused on what I knew about you, what I felt about you. And I hope, does it feel a little bit like you?
I can't even talk right now. I'm gonna see if I can get you on the screen with the painting and not me. So hold on. Let me try this real quick. Nope, wrong one. Hold on. Hold on. I just want to get us to the solo layout. There you are. Forget about me. We're just going to concentrate on your artwork now.
We are. This is the Milagro heart.
Oh my gosh, Maria, it is absolutely
and this is the
beautiful.
Over here. This is the little secret with your tattoo.
Thank you. I can't believe. So the hummingbird is also my connection to my mom.
And there's two of them.
Yes.
There's one seated right here, and then there's one in the focal point.
Oh my gosh, Maria, I am absolutely having a little bit of a breakdown here, so I'm glad we're focusing on you right now.
That's why I get the whole screen. Ta-da.
Yes. It's absolutely.
I can't say I set about to make you cry.
No,
I did want to try to capture what I think your essence is in this heart. And, you know, hearts, I say I don't do pink, fluffy, girly candy box hearts.
Right.
I do hearts that I think are deeper than that. These are lighter colors than I usually use. I did one last year called Love in Hard Times. It's all in earth tones.
Yes.
And it's got like a cracked concrete texture, and the flowers in it are datura, which are loco weed. And it's just, to me, it's a really one of my special hearts. And I did another one that was called a Jewel in the Forest that had a lot of gold leaf, but birch trees and the heart floating around. That heart lives in Slovenia now.
Wow.
So sometimes these hearts go around the world.
Yes. Oh my gosh. This is what an incredible moment. I just think I'm completely like flabbergasted. But from I mean, for our viewers and people who are going to watch on the watch parties and they're going to do the replays, if they were to commission something for themselves, do you mind sharing with us some of the information, like what's the size, What?
Oh, well, this is a 20 by 20 canvas. It's
Okay.
gallery wrapped canvas, so you can hang it without framing it if you
Oh,
choose to. You could frame it if you wanted to. I think this is a good format. Um, I could do bigger. It could be a little awkward. And the smaller, you might not get the detail. This is mixed media, so there's actually pieces of painted paper in here that have been embedded as part of the leaves. So it's almost three-dimensional in some
oh,
places. I don't know if
it's
you can see some of that.
mm.
I will be putting this on my Facebook page, a completed one that you can like zoom in and look at the detail and see there's a little iridescence on the hummingbird
Right.
and so
Oh,
on and so forth.
beautiful.
But
And you are you, I just want to be sure that I'm not putting words in your mouth, but people can commission something like this?
well, now that I've tried it with you and had so much fun with it, I would say yes.
Okay, good.
Um, I would say that.
And
And if I could share just a little something about
yes,
my
please.
my ideas about art as a collector. All the years when I wasn't painting, I was buying art. I sold a piece of jewelry once to buy my first original art, which was a lithograph.
Uh-huh.
And I think there's a progression between, going from the postcards and the posters to prints like a lithograph to paintings and so on.
Right.
But I realize also too, from another collector, someone who bought one of my paintings, who followed me for a number of years. In fact, I was unloading paintings one time, and she ran up to me on the street and she said, "Are you my artist?" I don't know, am I your artist? Well, she had been buying greeting cards with my paintings on them for a number of years. And she had
Oh,
met me at open studios, but that can
sure,
be kind of
sure, of
hectic.
course.
And she came back and she bought an 18 by 24 canvas. Eventually, she, was able to do that. So I think things can build up. But I thought I really want to make art as a way to enhance your environment in your home and your comfort in your home,
Yes.
and a way to express yourself. I wanted to make that accessible. And so I don't sell just originals. Some artists, frown on actually too much reproduction work, but I have a very high quality vendor that will reproduce my paintings on canvas, like the original, on paper with frames, metal prints that are super gorgeous. I was worried about them at first because they were so modern. I wasn't sure I'd like anything that modern, but they're fabulous. And even posters.
Oh my gosh, that's
So,
beautiful. The quality, you can see the
isn't that
quality.
amazing? You can see the color and the detail. I was saying these coasters just came. I just got my first sample. You could put this in a shadow box frame,
Absolutely.
and it would be gorgeous on your wall. Or you can stick it on your desk so you don't, your sodas don't make rings. Um, but I felt really strongly that I wanted to make good art accessible at all price points.
That's
And
wonderful.
everybody can't afford an original, and I get that. I mean, I couldn't for years. And I worked my way up through the postcards and the posters and the lithograph before I started buying other people's paintings myself. But it's no reason why they shouldn't have it in their life.
Exactly.
So
And
I have a large selection of my works are available through my website,
yes,
in all kinds of media, in all kinds of sizes.
great. I love this because, as I mentioned at the beginning, I'm going to join you now. Hold on.
Oh, you're back.
um, uh, as I mentioned at the beginning, we sort of had this brainstorming session before we
Mm-hmm.
went live, and one of the things that I thought before we really focused on this heart, which I cannot tell you how much joy, just even through the computer, like I can just feel it radiating, and I'll need to talk to you about that later. But if you could share with us, for me, one of the things that I went to was, wouldn't it be cool to see some of your artwork in the background, the
Zoom
background,
wall.
right?
Yes.
For these
Yeah.
interviews and things like that.
Yeah.
So, and
It
the
would.
reason why, I love these kind of impromptu brainstorm sessions is because we were talking about how COVID has changed our life. And so our relationships have changed. They've become these two-dimensional video relationships. And one of the questions that was in my mind is, has this change in the way that we are living helped you to market your pieces in a different way? Or were you
Well,
always
it has, because the galleries were for the most part closed,
right?
and now are only partially open and in some places. So I immersed myself in a different way for trying to get myself back in the screen. Immersed myself in a different way of making my work available to people. I threw myself into social media, and when you're a dinosaur, that is not
It's
natural
not
to
easy.
you. But I am on Instagram, and I love Instagram because it's a visual media, and you can look at a layout, and I have quotes, and I have pictures of work in progress, and I have paintings, and it's very mindful, and it's choreographed, sort of. You look at the whole page. And then I've got Facebook, where people might want to see like the phases of a painting. There's a lot of layers in this painting, and it started out looking a lot different than the way it ends up, and that's part of the normal process. And some people like to see that as well. And then on my website, you can look at galleries for original art.
Right.
And then you can look at the galleries for landscapes, abstracts. I have a whole gallery for hearts, because
Right. Oh.
it's a great, it went from a great way to just put wonderful color to a way to express feelings and themes, etc. And so they're available there at poroyart.com.
Right. Oh, good. I'm so glad you mentioned
Yeah.
that. We definitely want to make sure that we put all your contact information, all your social media info on our Facebook page on Confidence Strategies 101. But I did want to show you, I do get to see some of the comments that we're getting. So I just wanted to give a little shout out to Jose. Jose says, "Te ves espectacular." So there you go.
Thank you.
And Robin says it's stunning. So I know that would be
thank you.
when you were showing us.
I love that.
And then we have Dr. Kat.
So
yes,
I know she's
one of your favorites. So we have a mutual admiration society going
lovely.
Here. And I'm just so excited because you and I also talked about perhaps, getting together with 5 or 6 or 7 other artists in December and doing this whole.
I think that would be so fun, because I've gotten to know artists all over the country.
I love
and we've connected artists and photographers, and they work very differently than I do, and that's exciting.
Yes.
I don't need to see more of me.
We do.
And it's like the reason why I think it was so fun to talk with you and try to get into your head to do the Milagro heart was to get away from just me. It was you were a new horizon for me.
Yeah. Well, I'm very
uncharted territory.
I'm very proud to be your guinea pig.
And these other artists are so fascinating. They're doing such interesting, meaningful work. It's so fantastic. And I think it would be really fun to have us in a virtual room together.
Yes.
And now that I'm not scared anymore, I want
to. I know. See? I would never have known that you were a little bit, you had a little trepidation before this. I'm just so glad that we did this. And for those that don't know, Maria and I also did a live in-person, art event that we collaborated on before. And I can't wait to do this again. I miss it so much. So I can't wait to do, to get back into that.
And while I wish you could reach out and touch and feel it, we can get as close to the camera as possible. But, second to making the painting, second to making the work, talking about the work is almost as good.
Right?
Telling everything's got a story behind it.
Yes. And I think what I love about this particular interview is we were able to share, you were willing to share your story of where you came from and what those challenges and adversities were to this beautiful, colorful life that you created for yourself. And I mean, that right there, if that's not inspirational, I don't know what is.
Well, I wanted to share it for that reason. I don't want to dwell too much on the dark side, but maybe I wouldn't make the same art that I make today. When you go through tough things, you develop a certain rawness, a certain sensitivity. You feel things.
Yes.
So I like to think that my empathy skills are pretty well developed.
Yes.
And that I can respond viscerally to things in the world and turn them into art.
Yes.
So
100%.
maybe you need to get beat up a little to get there.
Well, that's what they say about us.
Process.
Right? Before I let you go, is it possible that we can see, because I know that you've got some other artwork behind the heart. So I'm going to put you back on the solo screen so we can get a glimpse, if you don't mind sharing.
No, it's fine.
Okay, good. Hold on, let me do this here. There we go. Okay, and if you could just
grab this one.
Yeah.
This one is, this is very complex and different. It's called In the Beginning. I started working on this. I'm sorry that it's getting a lot of reflection.
That's okay.
I started working on this early in the sheltering in place period, if you will.
Sure.
And it had a little bit of an ominous feel, a little bit of dark and apocalyptic kind of thing. And as I worked on it, I said, I need the ocean, the waves coming in here and brightening it up and creating something different out of it. And so instead of being the apocalypse, it ends up being Genesis.
Right.
So In the Beginning. And I do love the moody skies. You can't really see the color as well as I wish you could here, but it's kind of a nice piece. It's 18 by 24 on canvas. It's framed in a laminated gallery frame that's textured to look like copper, which picks up the little bits of gold leaf and things I use in the painting.
Right.
So that's a personal favorite right now.
Yes.
And I kind of got the last event that I participated in public with people was a jazz festival here in Monterey. And I was kind of mentally getting into that when I was working on a few things before the event. And I love Cajun music, and I love New Orleans, and I love Zydeco. And this is one of two that I did. One's called Eco, which I don't have here now, but this one's called Big Chief. And if you know about the traditions in New Orleans about the big chiefs, the elaborate costumes and the dancing in the streets, and this is evocative to me of that human shape. And so if you're a fan of New Orleans and jazz and abstract and way intense color, it's 20 by 20 also, the same size as the heart, but a totally different feel.
Yes, absolutely. I don't know if it's my camera or but we've got a little pixelation now, and I know that we haven't moved or changed anything. So, but why don't you, if you don't mind, oh gosh, look at that. If you don't mind telling us again what your website is and where people can connect with you. I think we have done our job with this interview, Maria, because we've got at least two people that are inspired.
Oh, look at this. Oh, good for you, Robin. I want to see what you do next.
There you go.
I'd love you to visit poroyart.com. And if you do and sign up for the mailing list, every now and then I do a giveaway. Yeah, I do a drawing from my mailing list of and give away a small print. And so something
Oh,
exciting could show up in your mailbox if you do that. But if you like Facebook to see things in progress, or if you like Instagram to see more of a choreographed presentation, I'd love to see you in any of those places.
yes. And we will definitely have to do this again. I think that this has just been like, I hate to say it, but it's one of my favorites.
Oh, well, this is just about as much fun as the art show we got involved in way
Right.
back when.
I know. At the Payne Mansion, it seems
That
like that
was quite a setting.
was,
But so from my heart to yours, thank you, Carmen
oh,
Milagro.
thank you, Maria.
I
This
think
was
being
just,
included in your program, the people you've interviewed have been so wonderful.
thank you.
Um,
Yes, they
that
have.
they are inspiring. So I wanted to throw my whatever into the mix.
Oh, you sure have. It's just been, I wish we could just like take a tour of your studio and just, we'll do that through your website and your
I
Instagram.
promise if you visit the website, you will see some exciting things.
Good. And
All
thank
right.
you for spending your evening with me. I really appreciate it. And I can't wait to do our artist, like,
This is so fun. I have people that I need to contact now and say, okay, you have to watch the little fireside chat I had with Carmen,
That's right.
and maybe we can pull something exciting off.
Yes, I think we will be able to. I think it'll be so much fun. I think you're off to the side a little bit,
I
though.
am.
There you go. I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
We
And
all,
I like the idea of bringing some people from around the country
yes, I
that
think
have
that'd be
different
really,
styles and different approaches and different stories to tell too, because
yes,
it's so stimulating.
right.
These days I want more spice in my food. I want more color in my art, and I want the music louder.
There
It's
you
all
go.
it's part of the isolation thing. We need to pump up the volume.
There
So
you go. I think that's that's the final quote of the day. I was going to ask you for your last words to inspire other people with what they're doing, and I think that was just perfect.
there it is. Pump up the volume.
There it is. Thank you,
Thank
Maria.
you, Carmen.
Good night. I am so happy we got to do this.
And thank you. Have a
Thank
good
you.
evening.
Thank you. And where's your cat?
Oh, Miss Eva Rose. She has not left.
Oh, she was here for the whole time. Oh, look.
She was here the whole time. There.
Oh, thank you, Eva Rose, for joining us.
A little tired. It's a long shift for her. Usually she gets her tail in my face. So.
Right. Maria, it was wonderful to see you. Thank you for everything. And then I can't wait to see the Milagro heart.
I will send you a picture of the completed one. I think it's pretty fun. So
thank you. I appreciate it. I'm so honored. I'm beside myself. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I'll get it off to you really soon. You take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a great night. Thank you. Well, that was, I have to say, just so incredibly inspiring. Like, I can't paint, I can't draw a stick figure, but I might just try. You never know. That's what I hope that you get out of these interviews, is just a little bit of positivity, a little bit of inspiration that maybe allows you to do something that you wouldn't normally do. How's that? So all of you that stayed with us tonight, thank you for your comments and for being engaged. We really do love it. I wish I could do a better job of that, but at some point I'll have a producer and then we will be fully immersed in the actual real-time conversations. But until then, I should tell you who's coming on next week. Next week will be really fun too. Joining us next week on Confidence Strategies 101 is a father and son musical dynamic duo, Luca and Luca. Dan is the bass player and his son is the drummer. So who knows, maybe we'll have some live music again. I can't promise anything. It's just going to be whatever happens, but I'm very excited for them to join us next week. And be sure to check that out. And again, just a final thank you to Maria Poroy for not only sharing her story and her time and her wonderful energy with us, but for also sharing some of her artwork with us. She revealed her heart to us, pun intended. And I'm very grateful, and I can't wait to do this, our artist collective panel, or whatever we're going to call it. I'm very excited about that. So once again, thank you to our sponsor, Music City Hit Factory. They'll be launching soon. It's an online community educational music program, but it's so much more. It's going to be a pretty spectacular reveal when the entire project is gifted to San Francisco. That's all I can say, but I'm very excited. And then again, just thank you for tuning in each Tuesday night with me. It's great to know that we have some regular viewers who tune in time and time again. And I hope that you'll like and comment and share these videos that we're creating with you and for you. I'll see you next Tuesday, 7 p.m. Sorry about my little emotional breakdown today, but it was a good emotional breakdown, and I'm just thrilled. I can't wait to see this piece in person. So I'll keep you posted on all that. And please stay safe. Remember, this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I hope that you take that to heart and get your mammograms and take care of yourself, because self-love is about taking care of your health. At least that's my point of view. And that's it. Thank you. We'll continue to explore and share our adventures together, and I'll see you next week. Take care, everyone. Have a good night. Bye-bye.